Understand that we're here to network. Most importantly, we're here to get a better understanding. And who better to tell us what the new media conference is all about than the founder herself. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Aibee Tosin, founder, olorisupergirl.com. Please keep clapping till she gets here. Keep clapping, keep clapping.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone. Wow. Please don't be cool, though. Okay, hi, everybody. I want to apologize. We started late. It's not been easy. So I want to say thank you for everyone for coming. I'm nervous, number one. All right. So my speech is just going to be short and straight to the point. I'm going to read from my phone. Am I allowed to do that? Thank you. Woo! All right, then. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Tosin Aibee, and I'm delighted to have you here again. About 2 years ago, the idea came to facilitate more in-depth conversations around new media practice in Nigeria, online and offline. As the industry was booming with possibilities of thousands of practitioners across the country, there were numerous opportunities for growth for new media practitioners, bloggers, digital strategists, agencies, government institutions, non-governmental organizations, brands, and clients. This dream came to life when we hosted the maiden edition of the New Media Conference the same day last year. It was mind-blowing at Terra Culture Hall, and the hall was actually filled. There were great conversations and key takeaways from the day-long speeches and panel discussions. Today, we are back to evaluate progress made since the last time, to discover new best practices and hopefully begin to take the crucial next steps in ensuring sustainable growth and emergence of more excellent standards in Nigeria's new media space. I was a beneficiary of the very first wave of internet and social media boom in Nigeria in a little over a decade ago. I enjoyed the privilege of working with a few media and entertainment organizations and eventually starting what at that time was a free setup blog on Google platform. I admired and continue to observe patterns and strategies used by the leading platforms, Bello Nigeria, Linda Ikeji, Naralad, 360 Knobs, to mention a few. Little did I know how powerful and relevant digital online media would be in my journey towards career fulfillment and economic breakthrough. Today, our team has grown from just me to 4 people. Thank you. I am not yet where I aspire to be, and this can be said to be true for several thousands of others who continue to seek ways to be better and serve their clients and other stakeholders better. Today, we have been blessed with the presence of some of the finest speakers and speakers who will help us refresh our memories and inspire us to do more, to be more, and to create more opportunities for growth. We will hear from the big brands, custodians, agency representatives, social media influencers, celebrities, and experts talking about social movements, marketing campaigns, standardizing new media practice, and so much more. Today, expect it to be business unusual, and let's have honest and real conversations. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, guys. Let's move on very quickly to our keynote speech this morning. And she's a phenomenal lady. Joined the company in 2014, and a number of us, if not all of us, know this company. When I say OLX, you say OLX? I'm trying to be the ambassador, so this is promo for me. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to the country manager, OLX Nigeria, Lola Masha.
So what I want to start with is just talk about what OLX is, who we are, what we do, and essentially who we are as a brand. Most folks assume that we are Nigeria-only brand. That is not true. OLX is a global brand. We are in 40 countries globally across most continents. And in every country that we're in, we're either the #1 or the #2 player. In Asia, we are the #1 player in India. We're in the Philippines, Indonesia. In South America, we are the top player in Brazil, Argentina, Guatemala, Peru, the list goes on. In Africa, we have offices in 3 countries, actually 4 if you count North Africa, if you count Egypt. But we do business in about 10 countries in Africa. Right? So we're in Lagos, covering West Africa. We are in Kenya, covering the eastern part of the continent. And we are in Cape Town, covering South Africa. We have about, actually that number is off. It's about 3,000 employees globally. And we process about 25 million ads or listings on the platform. So it's a significant business. We'll be 10 years this year, which is exciting for us. But in Nigeria, we're only 3 years old. And in 3 years, I think we've done quite a bit in driving and building the brand here. Primarily through social media, frankly. We did a lot of work on Facebook, Twitter, a whole bunch of social media platforms to try to drive the OLX brand in Nigeria. Next slide, please. So what do we do as a business, right? What is the classified business? Essentially, what we do is we transform old media into new, right? We all know the typical classified ads in print, in newspapers, right? You buy a little real estate space in a newspaper. You advertise your job if you're trying to hire someone, or if you're trying to sell real estate or whatever else it is. You expect readers of that newspaper to respond to you, and you take things from there. So essentially what we've done at OLX and what the classified model is transferring old media, print media, into digital, right? And add a lot of additional features that otherwise would not be possible in old media. For example, rich content, right? You can add images, you can have a lot more real estate than the tiny space you have in print. You can be a lot more creative with showing that information to users. There's a clear benefit to this, right? You reach a much wider audience. You reach millions of users, of internet users in the local market in Nigeria. You also reach users beyond the circulation reach of that print paper, right? You're able to reach users wherever they may be in Nigeria. So we began the journey in Nigeria 3 years ago, and I joined about 2 years ago. And at the time, we were a very tiny brand. We were a startup, frankly, and we still are, but even more so back then. We had about 6 employees in a small apartment in Ilukbeju, very tiny office space. And we were not the top player. I think we were number 3 player back then. Anybody who remembers Trade Stable? Anyone who's familiar with Trade Stable? Yeah. So Trade Stable was the top player back then. Naira List, anyone who is familiar with Naira List, right? So Naira Land equivalent of classifieds. And there were a few other guys that were already in that space before we got here. So the challenge for us was actually immense, right? How do we take a small brand that no one knew of, right? I had joined OLX from Google, where I spent 4 years. And the question always came up, Lola, are you mad? Why would you leave Google to join a brand that no one has even heard about, OLX? Some folks even called us OXL, what do you guys do, you know? But the attraction for me was taking this small business and helping to drive it to a much bigger brand. And I hope I can boast a little bit by saying that we have been quite successful, right, in taking the OLX brand to much greater heights in a span of about 2.5 years. How did we do it? Right? A lot of it was through social media, was through just managing our Facebook page very actively, managing our Twitter presence very actively, tracking what other people were saying about us and responding appropriately, and just making sure that we use new rich channels to reach our audience. We also did some TV ads, but a huge part of our growth, frankly, was using internet channels, social media channels to truly drive the brand. The first, when the MC asked about what we are here to learn or take away, I think the first comment was from the gentleman around localizing internet platforms for the Nigerian market, right? So not simply copying what works in the UK or what works in the US, but making sure that we adapt it for what would work in Nigeria, right? It's not always the case that you can simply copy and paste. And we learned this the hard way, frankly, right? When we started, we essentially copied, again, we had rolled out in 40 other countries globally. So essentially just copied what worked there and expected it to work in Nigeria. Well, guess what? We failed, right? And it's okay to fail as long as you learn from your failures and you adapt very quickly. We failed because Nigeria is a very unique place. The idea of you posting your item, meeting up with strangers, transferring cash to them, not knowing who they are, clearly is a very risky one in the market that we're in, right? And again, we learned that the hard way. So what did we do? We didn't just pack up and leave. We said, no, let's make sure we use local innovations that truly meets the Nigerian user's needs, right? So we adapted our product. We moved away from the classic do-it-yourself, right, which is you go to the website, you post your ad, you put your phone number, you expect users to call you. We moved to a more curated model, essentially, right? And it's what we call the do-it-for-me model. And Nigeria is actually the only country where we have this rolled out. But again, we had to adapt the business model to fit what works for Nigeria. And what we did was to think of the barriers that most of us have around using the online classifieds platform. I don't have much time, but if I were to ask you why you may not or why you have not used OLX, you may give me reasons such as I don't want to meet with strangers, I don't want strangers in my home, I don't want my phone number public, I'm not sure what I'm buying, is it real or not, is it stolen or not? And these are very valid, legitimate questions. So what we've done to solve that is roll out our do-it-for-me model. And again, Nigeria is the only country where we have this live. And what we did is to hire a whole bunch of youths, graduates, very qualified, savvy guys. We trained them, intense training, and we had them physically verify items before those items go live. So before any ad goes live on the OLX platform, it has been verified or checked by one of our OLX champs. If you want to sell your car today on OLX, you can still do it yourself, but you also have the option to get one of our champs that we know well, right? We have their records, we know who they are, to come help you sell that item. So they come take a picture of the car, they post it for you, they use their own phone number, so they take all the calls. They're able to price the car appropriately for you as well. They're able to screen buyers, right? So they know who the serious buyers are and who the unserious buyers are. And consequently, get you the very best deal for your car. And once that transaction has closed, they transfer the cash to you and deal is done, right? And we found that this model truly resonates with the Nigerian user. Everyone that we speak to about it is excited to use that model, right? Because it does offer protection around trust and safety, right? You know you're buying a legitimate car if it's from an OLX champ. And if you're the one selling, you also know that the champ has your best interest at heart. And what we'll do now is just play a very quick video that walks through how that champ model truly works. Thank you. So again, if I were to open this up for Q&A, one question that would come up and that always comes up is, okay, OLX, how do you guys make money? Right? What's going on, right? You have ads on TV all the time. You're on social media. You're hiring staff. What's going on? There are different ways to make money using new media and using the classifieds model. But what's truly exciting for us with this model, right, is it's not just a way for OLX to make money, but a way for our champs, right, young graduates that otherwise may not have other opportunities to make money, is they're able to charge for this service, and users are willing to pay for the service as well, right? Just knowing that you're going to get the best deal, no issues around trust, around security, around safety, everything is taken care of. It's very convenient. Users are very willing to pay for this service. We have about 100 champs right now, and I would say a significant portion of those champs make 6 figures salary every month, right? Through earnings that they generate by being an OLX champ, right? It's partly commission-based, right? So clearly it's a sales model. But the exciting thing is, again, you're able to earn 6 figures every month if you support our users in successfully helping them sell. So everyone wins, right? Our champs win, OLX makes some revenue, and our users are also very happy, right? Because we have completely stress-free transactions between both our buyers and our sellers. So this goes without saying, right? I mean, a key thing you have to keep in mind whenever you're building any business is you need to not only execute flawlessly, but also track to the tiniest level of detail. And we track everything. And I think one cool thing about new media is you're able to literally track everything, right? If you're starting your business, you want to know not just how much you're going to invest in that business, but how it will be spent, what is the return on your investment, how much would you pay your staff, what is the return on every new staff member that you bring into the team, where are the expenses going to, right? What are the key buckets, what are the smaller buckets, what are the areas that you can optimize or you can manage cost, and also track performance. Right? If you're doing the same thing over and over again and you're not seeing the results that you like to see, the best way to know that is by tracking regularly. We track literally real-time tracking, right? And we're able to adjust appropriately. We're able to move fast, right? I think it's it's perfectly okay to fail, but it's to your benefit if you fail fast, learn from it, use the data that you have to reinvent yourself and to redesign the business model. And that's what we have done. Again, when we launched in Nigeria, it was the vanilla, generic business model, but we failed, and we failed fast. We learned from it, and we're reinventing the business model to where it makes sense for us as a business. But I think what's also key, right, is to have the right people on board. How do you hire new talent? How do you recruit? How do you manage performance? We are not all the same, unfortunately. There are some superstars, and there are some average performance, and then there are some poor performance. And it's not being shy to support and motivate your strong staff, and also not being shy to have that tough conversation with the folks that may not be pulling their weight, right? And it's about having open, continuous conversations with your team members to figure out what makes sense. I think some folks often just want to get a job, and that's okay. And I think part of our role as business owners, right, is to help people find their path almost, right? It could be at your company, hopefully it is, and they're doing well, but it may not be. And if it's not, it's guiding them towards finding that right next step. So we do that quite well. We're always having, performance conversations at OLX. We're always reviewing our staff. And again, we don't treat everyone the same because, again, we are not all the same. We treat our superstars like superstars, and we treat the others appropriately as well. And there's another comment from the lady supporting women, and I was so pleased to hear that. Very pleased to hear that. And the reason is, in the tech world, it's very tough, right? It's very much a male-dominated world. Unfortunately, it's just fact. And I'm very proud to let you know that at OLX, we are close to 70% female. Woo! Nothing against the men at all. We were not discriminating. It was just the way the numbers came out. And actually, all my direct reports are female as well. So it's not just we have a lot of women, but we also have women at the top, which I'm very proud of. And how did we achieve that? Again, there was no bias towards women or against men, but it's providing the right culture, providing the right environment for women and for individuals to thrive. Right? The tech space is a very tough space, right? It's very cutthroat, it's very competitive. You need to just do what you can to get ahead. But we believe that giving the right environment and giving the right culture and promoting work-life balance, women can be just as successful and even more so than our counterparts. That we love. But again, it's providing the right environment for staff to be successful. So I think that's the end of me talking to you. I'm not sure how much more time I have. Okay. But I would really love to hear from you, and let's have a quick, Q&A interactive session.
Okay, guys. I'm sure we can do much better than that. Thank you very much. By the way, for the men, the L in OLX is ladies. So we men, we're going to do our own OMX. Thank you very much for that. If it's one thing or two things I've picked up from this is, one, fail quickly and learn fast. Fail quickly, learn fast. And then number two, which is an advice, don't leave Google. When you get there, stay there. But I mean, it takes a lot of guts to actually do that, and the result is right here before you. And talking about ladies, my beautiful co-host is also here. Bimbai, how you doing, girl?
Hello, good morning. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. And thank you for that wonderful talk. It's very enlightening. And I absolutely love the fact that this organization is empowering women and that there's women at the lead. And I love that women are at the lead of something where we can shop.
My man, where are you? Say awoo. Where are my men? Awoo.
No. Oscar, not today. Today we're working together. It's not a competition. So everybody say awoo together. You see, together we're stronger, right?
Although some guys were sounding very feminine with their awoo, but okay. So let's take, while we set up the chairs for the panelists, we're going to take some questions. And any question is allowed? Okay, we're taking only men. Only men are answering questions.
No.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That was a joke. So
Oscar,
my guy
careful.
over there,
Be very careful.
70% men are asking questions now. Okay, no problem. All right, so let's just take this for gender safety. 2 men, 2 women. Okay, the gentleman over there. Is there a microphone at the back? Is there a microphone there? Maybe Vimbai can. Do you want to go? Yeah, he's a very handsome-looking man. I'm just saying. I'm Pesana.
Hi, everyone.
Okay.
All right, and hi, Lola. I think I'm right. Okay.
Security, please.
All right, so first of all, I'd like to commend what OLX has been able to do and has done this couple of years. I know OLX used to have this stereotype, everything, sell it, even... Right. So you see the good guys trying to use social media to actually get money, trying to leverage social media. The bad guys are actually there, also trying to leverage on social media to get us. So it's both ends. So I would like to know how you've been able. You said one part. You said you've been able to raise champs now who have gone ahead to verify individual items to make sure there are no fraudulent transactions and all. But the other way, you still have tech guys now hacking into the system, because I'm an information security professional. You still have tech guys actually getting into your system. I know you'd have recorded issues like that, getting into your system, getting into your back end, swapping data and all. I don't know if you can actually address that. Then my second question is, sorry. Okay, this is like an attachment. All right, I can merge it, right? All right, so second attachment. So, all right, which is your preferred social media platform and why?
No, it's fine. Let me answer him. Yes. So my view on hacking is that it actually forces you to be better, right? We haven't had any incident at OLX where folks have successfully hacked into our systems. I'm sure they've tried. But what it does is it forces you to make sure that you are on top of your game as well, right? That you have the best infrastructure guys, you have the best network security guys, you have the best data analysts consistently monitoring what's going on in the back end, right? And as long as you stay one step ahead, they can try all they want, right? You just learn from those attempts and then you get better. And it's my view on competition as well, right? Because I also often get that question, right? There are a lot of new players in the classified space. Is that good or bad for OLX? I think it's great for OLX. Because guess what? It forces us to, again, stay on top of our game. It forces us to figure out, what are those guys doing? Is it great? Is it not great? What can we learn from them? You can learn from hackers. You can also learn from your competitors. And how do you take the best of whatever is going on to improve yourself? And the same is true even if you're a blogger, right? The more bloggers out there, the better, right? Because, again, it forces you to find ways to consistently get ahead, right? And I think that's the crux of humankind progress, right? Is constantly making improvements to stay ahead of the game. In terms of my favorite social media platform, that's a tough question, frankly, because even though we use social media as a business, on a personal level, I'm not very active on social media, to be frank with you all. I know, but I'm not on Facebook, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on Twitter. I know. But I do believe that at some point, right, you are social media out, right? There's a lot of information coming, and you need to figure out what the right balance is. But for OLX as a business, we are constantly actually not just prioritizing, but optimizing across the different channels. So there's certain things that Facebook is great for, and we use Facebook for that. The other things that Instagram is much better at, and other things that actually WhatsApp could be good for us. So for example, for customer support, we use WhatsApp. And we found that to be quite effective, right? Where users can send us complaints via WhatsApp, and we can respond right away. For pictures, right? So if we have an event and we have nice pictures, we found Instagram to work quite well, right? So what we do is just figure out, again, the strength of each platform, and we use them to advantage, essentially.
Yep, I think that's a great point. So you learn from each social platform and decide what works best for what you're trying to achieve. Now we've got Ms. Aibee right here. You've got a question for us. See, I'm supporting the women now because Oscar has started something.
It's a pleasure meeting you, ma'am. I have a question about, you talked about, I was interested in your ability to sort of have women, and obviously, because I'm a woman as well, and just the work-life balance and the right culture. I'm also in a management position, and it's always the question that I ask myself, how do you sort of enable the women that are in there? Maybe somebody has a baby, or like, how do you, without being unfair, right? So I don't know if that's not really a new media question, but.
Yeah. So I'll try to answer that very quickly, right? So we don't make this a women session, and then we can talk about it privately as well. right? The first is to have great benefits, right? So we have 4 months maternity leave, paid leave for women at OLX. So you can take 4 months off, it's fully paid. I always leave the office not later than 5:30, and I expect my team to do the same. So no need for FaceTime. I don't need to see you at 9 p.m. at the office. I set objectives very clearly up front, every quarter, right? Here are the objectives for the quarter. How you get it done, up to you. You work from home, up to you. You work weekends, up to you. But you achieve those objectives. And if you don't, then we have a conversation about it, all right? I get into the office, because I stay in Lekki around here, and our office is in Ilupeju, actually. So I get into the office between 8:30 and 9. And if folks get in after me, that's fine. If they get in before me, that's fine, right? So there isn't any need for, Lola is here, I have to be there before Lola, right? So I have to be there, I have to leave after Lola. We don't have that culture at OLX. I'd also suggest you have a chat with a few of the OLX staff as well, right? So you get a more balanced view and make sure that, that I'm not just, telling the good side of things, but yeah.
Awesome. Great, thanks a lot for that. So we're looking for 2 more questions. Now, remember, it's not every day you get to be in front of the country manager for OLX. So let's find out what more we can learn about new media and about OLX as a digital platform, and what else we can extract. So where else do we have a question in the house? Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Steven, and I'd like to ask, I'm just hearing of this OLX champ for the first time. I'd like to ask, is it compulsory, you must be a graduate to be an OLX champ? And how do you apply? Because I'd like to.
Yeah, that's a very good point. We are actively hiring now, actually. So if you're interested, please see me afterwards, and I will give you my contact information, and you can send your CV. We are actively recruiting. In terms of why it's graduate, what we found is our users that prefer this service are professionals, right? So they're busy, they're very savvy, and they expect some level of professionalism when interacting with our champs. And the champs also are the face of our brand, right? So when you meet a champ, you are projecting OLX on that champ. So it's important that they speak well, right? They dress well, they understand how to be professional. And we have just found that the graduate group tend to fit that profile best.
Great question. Brother came to hustle, man. I respect your hustle. And go ahead.
Okay. Just been told that we need to make sure we are actually active on social media. So feel free to take a selfie. And is that funny? Okay. Hashtag NMC Lagos, and of course on Instagram it's at New Media Conference, and on Twitter it's NMC Verified. So please, we're trying to trend today, okay? Sorry? Is that why? Why did you have to ask that question? Why? There's data in your phone. We'll work on that, but if you do, please just hashtag so we can get the conversation going on. Thanks to our sponsors again. Of course, to OLX, Samsung, Orange Academy, Hot Sauce, Bella Niger, and of course, official digital partners, Nest Digital Agency. We have one more question?
Yes, we do. I believe there was a question. Let me go right back.
Why always me? Yes. Quick question. OLX, I have something for you. I have bolt 5. To say. Oh! I have something on my laps. Okay. I'm too short. Can you see me? Okay, okay. I can see you too. Don't worry. OLX. You've been here. You've had your glitches. Actually, I got to know OLX in Kenya. And in Kenya, Mpesa. You know Mpesa? Payments, way to pay and all that. So it makes things very easy for everybody. Do you understand? You don't have to, anyway, long story short, how are you trying to get payments done without people having to, you know, a payment platform to help out? Yeah. I want to sell a BlackBerry Bolt 5. And then, you know, no long story. How do I get the guy to pay me without seeing him?
Okay. That's a very good question. And it speaks to localizing the business model to each respective market, right? So Kenya has Mpesa, and we all know Mpesa. I don't think anybody here hasn't heard or isn't familiar with Mpesa. It's a great platform. It's a mobile money platform where you can essentially send money and transfer funds to friends and family through your phone. We do have mobile money players here, right? And I think there's, 24 of them. And we have InterSwitch, eTransact, and so on. And what we are still evaluating is to find because there isn't an Mpesa in Nigeria, right? So it's to find the best payment model that works for our local market here. So stay tuned. We should be rolling out something before the end of the year. So just stay tuned. Be patient with us.
It's time for us to keep it moving, and I know a lot of people are anticipating various discussions that will be taking place from different panelists today. So it's time for us to get into our first panel for the day, and that consists of Adaora Mbelu from A2 Creative. You're welcome to make your way to the platform. Ono Below of OnoBelow.com. Aibee Abidoye of both Chocolate City and Five Music Group. Look at you, overachiever. And Remi Obokayo, who is representing Chude Jideonwo of the Red Media Group. So the discussion that we're about to get into is creative industries positioning for 10 times growth, and it's moderated by Ms. Tolu Balogun. Looking absolutely stunning. She's a co-host on the Morning Crossfire. And I'm going to hand over to you. I'm going to hand on over to you.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It's a full house here, and it's great to see so many faces that are interested in these kind of discussions. Again, my name is Tolu Adeleru Balogun. I'm the co-host or the host of Morning Crossfire on 99.3 Nigeria Info. So at least apparently one person in here listens to me. Okay, so they said I should do it again. My name is Tolu Adeleru Balogun. I'm the co-host. Yeah! All right, that's what I'm talking about. All right, so we're going to have a great conversation today. I have some representatives of some of the big groups here, and it is about new media, but particularly for this conversation, we'll be focusing on the creative industries and positioning them for 10 times growth. Now, many times when we talk about creative industries in Nigeria, the first thing that comes to mind is what? Just shout out an answer. Music. What else? Nollywood. There we go. Nollywood tends to be the very first thing that comes to mind when we discuss, or the word, or phrase rather, creative industries comes up in Nigeria. But the creative industries are more than just Nollywood. So let's talk about that this morning. Now, when we talk about the creative industries, you're looking at music, stage dramas, comedy, movie making, dancing, craft design, fashion. They all exemplify creativity and the unique art of turning new and imaginative ideas into reality. There was something that Lola said before. They took something that was traditional and they transformed it and made it something new. Your classifieds that were on newspapers, now became classifieds that were in new media. So collectively, these creative activities are together referred to as the creative industry of a country, or the arts and entertainment industry as it's commonly known. Now, in 2014, when Nigeria rebased our economy, Nollywood became part of that new GDP. According to some sectors, our very own Nollywood boosted Nigeria's GDP by up to $510 billion. This is not beans. It's no longer small scale. And there are some reports that Nollywood is actually responsible for 500,000 direct jobs. Now imagine the indirect jobs. Imagine the knockdown effects. And imagine thinking beyond Nollywood. So this morning, we'll start this conversation with the people on the stage discussing the creative industries, especially the areas that they, of course, have their emphasis and their specializations on. So we'll start with about two minutes each from each of them, talking a little bit about what they do exactly in the creative industry. Then we'll continue the conversation from there. So let me start with Adaora.
Hi, everyone. Before I start to talk, I want to take my selfie because I might not get to do it at the end in case you collect the microphone. So I'm gonna do this. Yeah. Okay. This is like an Ellen DeGeneres type selfie. Wait. Okay, I see you. All right. One more. All right. Okay. This one? Okay, so my name is Adaora Mbelu. I'm a business and brand strategist. I like to call myself a creative industrialist because, again, I'm not limited to one industry. I believe that creative people, you're creative. You can be creative in agriculture, you can be creative in Nollywood, you can be creative in medicine. I think that there's a bit of a bias when it comes to defining creativity, and we tend to think that it's only people who are in the entertainment industry that are creatives. I am the head of innovation at A2 Creative, which is a business and brand management company. Yeah, what else would you like me to talk about?
So how does your company work in the creative industry?
Okay, so basically, I mean, we do different things. So we do everything from creative strategy, ideation. I don't know if anybody saw the Guinness Africa Special launch that went across 6 cities. That was us. We did the ideation for that. We basically also, if you've heard of the violinist Godwin Strings, he's under our management as well. So we pushed his brand strategy. Osa 7, the graffiti artist, who has an exhibition, by the way, this weekend. 7th Element exhibition, that's us as well. So basically, I mean, we do everything from ideation, creative strategy, the actual execution as well of these events and ideas. We're not limited. I always say that. People tend to say, you know, be in a box and define yourself and say this is exactly what you do, but I don't believe in that. I think I've always been a rebellious creative, so I say we do everything and anything. As long as it's an idea and it comes to my head, I'm going to execute it. That's about it.
So my name is Abidoye. I am the general manager of Chocolate City. I guess I have some fans in here. I've always been in music, so that's sort of my lane. I started when I was 18, and I sort of worked my way in different areas. I'm a lawyer as well. Yeah, I suppose, what do we do? Most people know Chocolate City for the music, obviously, because Chocolate City, as the record label, was our brand driver. But there are actually quite a few things that we do beyond just the music. We've expanded into Chocolate City Group. We're doing social media, digital marketing activations. We are doing a TV show, mostly obviously based around talent. And we're think anything along the supply chain of music and content creation is the vision of what Chocolate City Group intends to do, and we've started working towards. So I've sort of been removed solely from music to thinking beyond music to the content creation supply chain. So I suppose that's a bit about me.
My name is Remi Ogunkoya. Group Chief of Staff of Red. Basically, it's divided into 3 companies. We have a development arm that hosts the Future Awards. We have a content arm that has yniger.com, one of the partners of this event. It's an internet newspaper for young Nigerians. You can't hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you speak up?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So like as I was saying, we have a development company that has that hosts the Future Awards. We also have a content company that has yniger.com, one of the partners of this event. We have TV shows, Rubbing Minds on TV. We have Exploring on TV. And then we have a communication company that has a governance communication company called Statecraft that handles the Buhari campaign. We also have a purely PR company that has clients like Facebook, British Council, and Nigerian Bureaus.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Ono Below. I'm the founder and style director of OnoBelow.com. I operate an online. Basically, we provide information on everything to do with fashion, beauty, entertainment, lifestyle, breaking news, and every information you're looking for on the internet. And also, we run a public relations firm called PR Uno, a very small public relations firm. And we've worked with brands such as Mountain Place, Black Up, Lali, Clarins, Larry da Silva Jaya, and loads of other lifestyle brands. Basically, my job is to provide information to everybody, to the general public. Yeah, our core is fashion and lifestyle, and we also work with clients and bring about social media campaigns. We're big in social media in terms of for our clients, and basically that's what we do. Thank you.
All right, so we've had from each of our panelists, so we'll get straight into the conversation now. It's not a formal sector. What we're seeing now with the development of the creative industry, it's not what we would consider a formal, either 9-to-5 or government establishment. In terms of it being so formal, how serious should we take the creative industries? We've heard the numbers. I was told, well, I read rather, that if Hollywood, particularly the movie producing part of Hollywood, all the action blockbusters, if it was to be a country, it would be the 8th largest country in the world based on GDP alone. And that's how serious they take it there. So how serious should we in Nigeria take the creative industry? Any of you can start, and feel free to jump into the conversation.
Nollywood is a $3 billion industry. It's the second largest employer of labor in Nigeria, over 1 million jobs. I think that's just Nollywood. If I think she will talk about the music industry. And I was saying, can you hear me? Nollywood, can you hear me now? Okay. Nollywood is a $3 billion industry. It's the second largest employer of labor in Nigeria after agriculture, over 1 million jobs. She will talk about music. I was telling somebody that very soon the comedians that you talk about are not going to be the basket mouths, the comedians that you see on Instagram. So that shows how important that you have to take this industry. It's bigger by far than pretty much construction and the things that we take seriously.
But if we're taking it serious, do we then look at it having a formal education? Sorry, because somebody was asking Lola about what kind of education they wanted for their OLX champs, and she was saying something about they found that for them, graduates work. If we're going to be going forward into the creative industries, are we only looking for people who have some level of education, or is it going to be open to everyone, even people who may not be as educated as others?
It should be open to everyone, but you should be trained. So it may not be a university education, but you should be trained in anything that you're doing.
For me, in my sector, basically being that we're big in creative writing, I think you have to be a graduate. English mass comm is very important because you can't be creative and talking about a client's brand and be doing that in this day social media language where you use short words and things like that. It's, that's not translating the message you want the public to know about a brand. So for me, in my team, when I recruit, I look for graduates. I'm sorry, I can't employ HND or OND because let's be honest about things. I think the level of education, the substance or the value university graduates bring are totally different from OND and HND. I'm not going to generalize. Let me talk about my sector. I'm a creative writer. I write on behalf of brands. I produce brand strategy. I write stories. So I'm talking about my sector and from my experience working on my own for 6 years. OND and HND graduates do not cut it out in our sector. You might be creative and you might be great elsewhere, but in terms of writing, creative writing and producing PR strategies, it hasn't worked for me. And trust me, I've employed secondary school leavers, I've employed OND graduates, I've employed HND graduates. It just doesn't work in my sector and in my experience. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so Adaora. Okay, wait. Aibee, please.
When we're actually looking at the topic that we're supposed to be speaking on, which is sort of, I suppose, the power of the creative potential, 10 times potential. That is actually talking about something called the multiplier effect, which is, I don't know if anyone has sort of studied that a bit. 2 times is basically incremental thinking, which is how can I be better than what I did last year? And the 10 times growth strategy or thinking is the multiplier. So how can I be 10 times better than what I did this year? And I don't, as much as we're trying to sort of link it to the creative industry, I don't think you can achieve the multiplier effect or multiplier growth in whatever it is you're doing without a creative mindset. You need to sort of be a visionary, and that's what creativity is. So I feel like that concept is it's almost in the nature of what we do as the creative industry, and especially in Nigeria where we sort of just work with what, I mean, you need to run, right? You need to be very quick, whatever you have available, sort of working with it. So I almost feel like we've been doing that, but we just need to think bigger. So where do I want to be in 10 years, and how can I bring that to me now, right? So that already involves a creative sort of mindset.
Right. Adaora?
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so I think when we talk about education, one of the things about it is there's a difference between education and academics, right? Personally, I don't know what Ono is saying, but personally, I've worked with people who don't necessarily have a degree and are very creative people. You find a lot of times, I mean, I would rather hire someone who's very disciplined, very passionate about what they're doing versus someone who has a master's degree and just, and literally, no, I'm not saying education is, I'm not saying academics is a bad thing, okay? So what I'm saying is, you have people go to school, cram, and graduate. So you have a lot of people who crammed through school and graduated and didn't learn anything, right? So the way I see it is that for you to better yourself, right, you need to want, first of all, what you want so bad that you actually take time to harness those skills, take time to learn those things that you want to learn. I mean, you can learn, these days with new media, you can learn things online. You know, you don't have to necessarily, again, I'm not advocating for not going to school, but I'm just saying, like, even if you were right out of high school, you can actually, I mean, not everyone can afford to go to university, so let's be honest about that. And you can't tell me that because someone did not go to university, right, they can't progress in the creative industry. I don't believe in that. I think that you need to take time, you know, to study and learn things, read up. Reading is a very big part of creativity. If you read a lot, if you read enough, you will probably be able to write better than someone that doesn't read at all, right? So that's where the creative writing comes in as well, as you mentioned. Yeah, so I just think that we, as a community, we tend to think of academics a lot. We tend to think that, you know, everyone has to be academic, and it's not true. one of the things that I will put out here was, so I don't know if you've heard about Nigerian Idol, Nigeria's Got Talent, any of the TV shows. When I came into, when I first moved back to Nigeria in 2008, I think I was about 22. I was actually the producer and project manager for Nigerian Idol at that age. When I moved in, there were a lot of people who felt, you're not experienced, so you haven't been through production and you don't understand production yet. You can't do this. But here's the thing, I learned production on the job. And that was because I felt like, I wanted to learn this. So I learned everything from the camera guys to understanding the business side of production and all of that. So I believe that it can be learned, and I believe that, we can do so much more with learning those things.
I also think that an earlier answer that Remi gave bridges the gap as well. Training. If you do not have that degree, are you actively seeking to train yourself? You don't just fall into an industry and think that eventually years of experience will get you somewhere. Train yourself. Specialize in what you're doing in that industry, and it stands you apart. Now, because we have to go for questions, I'm just quickly going to ask each of them, as it relates to their individual industries, how to create that potential. As Aibee was saying, the 10 times multiplier effect growth. How do we become better in each of these industries going forward? By 2050, it's reported that Nigeria is going to have over 320 million people. How are you going to stand out in each of your industries, in each of your spaces? How are you going to make a mark? Where's the employment for those individuals coming from? Even right now, we have a medium age of 15. In the next 5 years, these individuals are going to be looking for employment. Government is not going to provide it. If the creative industries are going to grow and have a multiplier effect, everybody who starts a business should be at least able to provide employment for maybe 5, 6, 7 people. That's a positive multiplier effect. So for each of your industries going forward, looking at Nigeria as it is, how do we create that potential for the growth? I can start with Adaora again. A minute each, please. Okay, Aibee, go ahead. A minute each.
I think at Chocolate City, we've obviously started doing that. We've sort of been all about structure in an industry that has not really taken the structure. Even from conception 10 years ago, we've always had a manifesto, actually, that we're working with. And so that's what we're using right now to sort of roll out what it is we want to do. And I think one of the key things is self-awareness. You need to sort of be aware of where you are and where you want to go. And that's the only way you can sort of plan for it. There's also the place for innovation. Technology has been extremely disruptive and instrumental. in sort of,
Hello? Okay. So, sorry.
So, yeah, I was saying innovation is obviously something that we need to put into consideration. What platforms do we want to be on? Even with the content that you're bringing out, we see what Drake is doing, sort of combining different sounds. That's the influence of innovation on content creation. On the business side of it, how are we using innovation to be leaner, more effective? Those are some of the things that we need to think about. And then also the team. Are we having people just run KPIs based on what the standard structure has always been? Or are we looking at what the industry is going to be later and then hiring people that would sort of work with that, that would meet that need exactly? And one of the things that I thought was really interesting when I was looking this concept up is instead of focusing on your weaknesses, you're focusing on your strengths, because you find that you're happier where you're stronger, right? So you get people, you delegate where you're weak, and then you focus on where you're strong, and that's how people run quicker and are able to accomplish and effectively complete on tasks.
All
then
right.
Generally for the music industry, I think
Aibee, this has to be quick.
Oh, sorry, that was quick.
Thank you.
I hope you can hear me. There are about 97 million internet users, and so I think that there's a lot of growth there. And people need to experiment and experiment and experiment and experiment. Like I said earlier, it's 4 years ago, it would have been difficult for you to say that somebody would make 30-second videos on Instagram and get endorsement deals. Yeah. That's something that even run-of-the-mill musicians, comedians find it difficult to get. So the industry is changing, and it will rapidly change. You have to keep innovating, trying new things, and I think we'll get there.
For me, as an entrepreneur and even as an individual, I always make sure I have a 10-year plan. So what do you want to achieve in 10 years? And basically, you have to break that into processes. What are you going to achieve in the first year? What are you going to achieve in the second year? So that's number one. You have to have a vision for yourself, even in an organization and personally. And another thing you have to look at are your processes. You know, your people that are working with you, or if you're in a team, the people you're working with. How are you going to streamline your process so that you get the most effective results? Another thing is, the last thing I believe is, with those processes, are they, you know, you need to take account periodically. Are they achieving what you actually set up to achieve in 10 years? So sometimes you need to backtrack and go back to your vision, or backtrack and go back to your processes for you to be able to achieve whatever you want to achieve in your business and individually. Thank you.
All right. So finally.
Okay, so I think that one of the important things you need to do is listen. We are in an era of everyone talking. So when you go on social media, everyone's going on and on. One thing is very key. You never before have we ever had such a massive focus group, potential focus group on social media. If you're listening to what people are talking about and you're listening to people's needs, then what you find is you don't necessarily react immediately to what's going on, to what you think is going on. You take your time and you actually process it, and then you decide to create platforms that respond to those people's needs. And when I say platforms, I'm not saying look to a massive following, right? Because I think that's what I find a lot with new media technology these days is people tend to look for what one person is doing. I want to do the same thing. I'm going to replicate exactly that, and I'm going to rebrand it. And then you also have people who are quick to want the numbers, you know, so you find yourself purchasing numbers. You find yourself not really listening to what people are saying about your brand, but just trying to put up a perception of what.
Numbers game.
Yeah, it's a numbers game, so you put up a perception. And so I think that the guys who are going to be winning in this game are the guys who are genuinely listening and not trying to put out perceptions. You're genuinely listening. Second thing is, in the creative industry, I think one of the things that I'm probably popular for saying is talent is not enough. And I say that because the most disciplined people in the creative industry are the people who are going to own the future of the creative industry. And when I say discipline, I mean literally being able to do things, do things with passion, do things with heart, but make sure that you're creating a structure, you're creating structures, and you're disciplined enough to follow those structures, right? To do what you're trying to achieve. Those are the two things, listen and discipline.
And I think also from what Lola said in her opening, don't be afraid to fail. Fail fast. Get the failure out of the way. Because with innovation, there's a potential to fail a lot, repeatedly, because you're trying things differently and you're trying them newly. There's nothing wrong with that. So let's get to the questions. We have about a few more minutes for them, so we will take as many as we can. If the question is specific to anyone on the panel, please let us know it's specific. If it's general, one person will answer it and we will have to move on. So let's go.
Okay, guys, so remember, it's not war. Don't be gunning for anyone. You've got a lot to say. But if you would humor me, I'd actually like to ask the first question. And I'm hoping that it's a question that's on everybody's mind. And that question is, we've heard the statistics, 97 million internet users. There's guys who are making 30-second videos and getting endorsements. But my question is, in the Nigerian environment, how do I, a normal person on social media, what do I need to do in order for me to be able to make money on the internet? Do you get what I mean? Whether it's on social media, what do I actually need to do to make it a bankable business?
I think the most important thing is to gather a tribe. We're quick to replicate what works in new media. So Linda is making a lot of money. Everybody wants to blog gossip. But the truth is, Linda gathered a tribe. That's why she can cash out on it. So you have to find what's your niche. Why are people interested in what I'm saying? And then you can cash out on that.
I think you may actually have touched it in towards the end, but I think at the end of the day, it's always about the product. What is your product? What are you selling? A good product would always find its audience. And what new media does is it's just giving you a platform to speak to people about the product. So it's about, what are you actually trying to sell to people? Are you actually really funny? You know, are you actually really a good singer? Justin Bieber was found on YouTube because he actually had talent. So, and that's what a lot of people are doing these days, as opposed to paying A&Rs. They have people literally just searching the internet and saying, is this artist good? What type of followers do they have? Do they look like they'll be able to perform well in front of an audience? And then you're able to do statistics that way. You know, YouTube will give you analytics on the back end. There's so many things that you can get from that. But at the end of the day, it's about what you're selling. If the product is not good, then you can't really make money because of the platform. It has to be about the product.
In my sector, like, you know, content is key. So what's the angle? What's your niche, basically? And your content has to be engaging and should be able to produce you
Guys, can we focus? Are you guys paying attention? Come on now, let's do it with a little bit of respect.
Yeah, and your content should be able to be engaging to the followers and gain your followership, basically. So that's the way to make money on social media.
All right, let's move on to questions from the audience.
Okay, I just caught somebody here.
Yeah, hi. Morning, everyone. Okay, so I think
your name, please, where you're from, and please as quickly as possible.
Okay, quite. My name is Chinedu Abilimodi. I represent Hot Sauce here. Quick one. So, and this is general for everyone. What I didn't hear is actually how do we create value online? Okay, because, you know, I hear gathering of numbers and the rest. But individually, maybe one of you can answer it, you know, how do you translate value to your clients or to the people that you build social media or new media solutions for? Okay,
right.
So that's it.
Who wants to quickly take that? He says, how do you translate value for your audience, whatever they may be? Because we're talking about numbers, we're talking about niches, but how does the value translate from you to the end user?
Can I just say something quickly? Basically, what sector are you into? So for instance, if you're producing a product to people, what are you using your online platform for? Are you using it for customer service? Or are you using it to let people know about the product or the services you're offering to them? So that's a way of creating value to people out there. So for instance, you have an Instagram account. It's not just about just posting pictures and tagging people onto it or just selling your product. Can people actually message you and you respond to them? Can people actually tag you in photos and you acknowledge? Are you interactive on social media? So basically, you know, social media is not just a one-way thing. It's not just about you posting photos and getting people to like them or gaining followership. Are you engaging them? Are you providing information? Are they able to get feedback from you? Or are you able to provide feedback to them? Basically, that's what it's about.
Very quickly.
I think that if it's about translating value, I think that's purely creative. There are community managers that understand that. So first of all, you need to understand what you're trying to portray. Like when we were hearing about the OLX champs, they obviously understand what OLX is about. And then they're creative enough to then communicate that to people. So it's about, first of all, do you understand the brand? Do you understand what you're trying to achieve? Then you know which platform you're using. You need to understand, is this brand young? Is this brand old? What is the language that I'm going to apply? But it needs to start from understanding the brand that you're communicating. Ice Prince's brand is different from MI's brand. So if somebody's going to be talking about Ice Prince, the way they would represent Ice Prince is different from the way they will represent Coca or they will represent MI, right? So I think it's about understanding the brand, then you know which platform you're going to and the language that you're going to use to communicate that.
All right,
That's
who
where
else?
you create value.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Next question.
Okay, my name is Chichi Eriobo from Phronesis Group. I do events planning, third-party marketing. I am an OAP also. First of all, I'd like to address something before I ask my question.
There's not a lot of time. So
hold
wait,
on,
hold on. No,
please.
that's why I'm moderating.
Okay.
So there's
okay.
not a lot of time. You choose, you address, or you question.
Okay. I would like to address something.
Thank you.
I would rather drop the question. I am a proud graduate of HND. I wouldn't know how many HNDs or ONDs, madam, that you have experienced. I think this is racism against HND and OND holders.
Can you let her finish? Let her finish. She may be the last person to speak. There's not a lot of time.
Okay, I will go on. The reason why I am saying
Please
this,
bring it down.
Thank you. The reason why, like I said, ma'am, please don't take it personal.
Please, one house, please.
Please don't take it personal at all. But I don't think we are here to actually keep raising the fact that you have experienced, whether you have experienced 1 million HNDs. It's not enough to sit on the panel and thought that you have more creative BSCs than HNDs. Like I said, I team against HND and OND.
All right, thank you.
My name is Ogenekewe Degason. I rep the brand Generation T, and I believe that speaks about every single age and even the present age and the future age all in one, because the truth is, like we were even discussing here, I think it's more about socializing. Someone said the essence of communication. It's not really about where you got your training per se. And I'm not trying to even attack you or attack anybody, because I myself, I don't have a degree. I don't even want to have one. I never wanted to have one. Here's the thing. I think...
Is this a question?
It's an address. And it's
to
not a question, just
who?
a comment. To everyone.
So 30 seconds.
Okay. I'm saying we are all learning how to socialize better and how to sell value from what we do to ourselves. So the world is a place where we keep learning every day. It's not about, oh, I was this good while I was in this group or in that group, in university or there. It's all about we're socializing. Whether you use Twitter more or use Facebook more, it's how well you sell yourself.
All right.
Sincere, be fair, simple.
Thank you very much. That has to be our last contribution because we do need to move on. Please put your hands together. Please put your hands together for the panel. You can engage with individually after the panel during breaks, or you can also find them on social media and engage with them again. Please, again, a round of applause for them.